Hey, deserving listeners, sister wives, let's watch.
We begin this half hour with the polygamist family from Utah we first met here on Today last week, now the target of a bigamy investigation.
Yeah. No one's, as far as I know, no one's been threatened.
It turns out the Lehigh City Police Department launched an investigation into the polygamous marriage.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. The limited understanding I have about the laws at the time in Utah is that it was illegal. I was also under the understanding that it wasn't something that they would prosecute or investigate solely just because of polygamy. They were usually prompted if they found that harm was happening or that some other crimes were being committed. They would also go after people. I guess it's analogous to you're not necessarily going to get pulled over if you're not wearing your seatbelt, but if you are speeding and not wearing your seatbelt, then they'll give you a ticket for speeding and the seatbelt. I don't even know if that's true, but from my understanding, that's what it was like. And this could be embarrassing for the law enforcement organizations in Utah to have this, not only just as a stain on the reputation of Utah, but also it just makes the law enforcement agencies look like a joke or something. I don't know. So to flaunt their life on a reality TV show might have just caused them, well, now we got to do something. I don't know. Just some thoughts.
Fantastic. They're going to film you going to school.
Yeah, there's guys outside.
All right, so the press, of course, have arrived at the house, and they're concerned about the press being there. Yeah, hopefully the producers have prepared the family for this eventuality.
That's not good.
Yeah, they're on our yard, too.
There was this reporter all of a sudden.
We looked out the window and there's a van and there's a reporter and they've got a camera.
It seems like one of the kids was the first one who noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
That was freaky.
Here we go. We answered the door?
I would say no.
So we hear off camera one of the children, teenager, sounds like saying, "Do we answer the door?" And the mom, I think that's Christine, says, I don't know. That leads me to believe that the family has not been prepped for this eventuality. And the producers either dropped the ball or purposely did not prepare the family because they wanted to see an authentic reaction. But that's irresponsible. And could the parents have predicted? Yeah, I mean, this is 2010-ish, 2011. I don't know if things have changed so fast. So, it's hard to imagine that things were that different regarding social media, but it was just like I think in I started Facebook in 2007, and of course Facebook isn't the only thing, but when I started it, I knew of one person that was on Facebook, and that was the person that invited me. Back then you needed someone to invite you, I think. And by 2010, I think everyone I knew was on Facebook, right? People that had never even used the internet that much prior were using Facebook. So it was all new. And so would the parents necessarily know that? Now, of course, the news have been around forever, so it's not like that. I don't know. But there's another possibility that given their insular group and the homeschooling nature and their the fact that they've been cut off from people and they haven't been able to disclose their lifestyle, they might just not necessarily know enough to intuit or predict that the press would show up. But hopefully they have a family meeting and have a consultant, an agent, someone that can help them to protect, especially the kids,
Like that. Instantly I did not feel safe. I'm like, ugh. I worried about the safety of our kids with them coming home from school. I didn't want them to film our kids.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught that, but there was a reporter seemingly just walking around the yard that walked right past that window. It's a basement room that doesn't have any curtains, it looks like, and they see a reporter walk right by the window. And then there's a photographer that is taking pictures, probably with a long lens. Yeah.
Divert the paparazzi guy that's out there. We need him to follow us over to Grandma's so that when all the little kids come home and get off the bus, he's not here taking pictures of them. We decided that when the kids came home from school on the bus, we didn't want them to see him. So I got in the car with...
Please tell me there are laws against taking pictures of children by the paparazzi. Please, I don't... That's right? You kids getting off the bus? No. There should be... Tell me that that's not okay by the law.
He thought he was getting this great stuff of me and Garrison and McKelty driving around town.
And yet another reason why you should never have children on reality TV. It's not necessary to have them on TV. You could certainly have this whole show focused on the adults. Yeah. I mean, because the paparazzi can get pictures of the kids, but the kids are plastered all over the TV because they're on a reality TV show. The parents are parading them around. It's just, it's... Ugh.
It has the potential of splitting up our family. But I would choose this again. It scares me to death. The possibility of being taken away from my...
Okay, so Mary is reckoning with the consequences of coming on a reality TV show and also going on a press tour. And she's saying that it's hard, but she would do it again. She doesn't regret doing it. And this alerts me to something that I've come to realize over the span of time that I've been watching reality TV in the past 4 years, and it's important for us as a society to recognize the harm that can happen to cast members and that they have independent counsel, maybe not necessarily lawyers, but that it's informed consent. They will consent knowing, they consent to going on the show, having been fully informed of the risks, because the producers of the show are currently in charge of informing them and drafting the contracts and communicating and casting the individuals. There's no one from the outside that comes in and says, hey, this is what the production is telling you, but you have to understand this could happen. Do you really understand? And if the advocate gets the idea that the potential cast member has stars in their eyes, if that's a phrase, they are sort of enamored by the future of glitz and glamour and all the positives that they've been told, then the advocate might say, I have to slow you down because let me just paint a picture for you here. The paparazzi's outside your door. They're taking pictures of your kids. The internet is aflame with accusing everyone in this, even if 25% of the public hates you, that's millions of people. Your job prospects are going to suffer. Your kids' job prospects are going to suffer, potentially. I can't know that, but are you sure you want to do this? So it's important that we have that, but we don't. And only then can we know that the cast members are consenting to what they're consenting to, right? I could walk up to someone and say, do you consent to me shaking your hand? And they say, yeah, sure. And then they sign. And then my hand has like poison on it or something. It's like, well, hey, you consented to shaking my hand. I mean, you're the stupid one. You said okay to it. Well, no one would think that the person consented with enough information, and nobody could possibly know what could happen to them, particularly if production is feeding them the positive side. So there's that. But Mary is saying that she doesn't regret it, so that's good. I still worry about the kids, though. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So I remember as a kid, the adults in my life would talk about how the older that they got, the faster that time moves by. And I even remember as a kid when I was like 10 years old thinking that when I was younger, time moved more slowly. Now, there are a few reasons for this phenomenon, but one of the reasons seems to be that the older we get, the more we fall into a routine and we stop really paying attention to our lives. Well, of course, therapy can be a wonderful place to slow things down and give us a chance to focus on things. Generally speaking, therapists are pretty good at creating a space for us to do that. And sometimes it seems like we need that outside influence to get us to slow down. Well, one place you can find a therapist is BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, it's definitely worth giving a try. So take a moment, visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
In the future, I would choose this route again for us.
I would choose it again. I'm tired of being afraid.
I'd choose it again. I don't want my kids and my grandkids growing up oppressed.
Okay, so they're all saying that they would choose to do it again regardless. Yeah, okay, all right.
I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know.
That's interesting. And I'm reminded of when they were asking the kids about Robin and whether or not they were okay with Robin and the kids coming to join the family, and you were going around the room and everyone was just like, yeah, and then but a couple of the kids were like, I don't know about this. There's a vibe to the dissenting opinions it's good that people can dissent, but the way that Christine just expressed this, it seems like she's restricting what she's saying. And if that's true, then I would imagine she's restricting because she doesn't want to rock the boat. You can just imagine the pressure to conform in a situation where lack of conformity could cause a lot of disharmony and a lot of problems. Maybe even modeling to the kids that they can do their own thing, which causes all these problems. I don't want pancakes. I want something else. It's just the mundane day-to-day stuff that you have to worry about with the potential ideas of freedom, right? To not go along with the crowd. And so Christine seems to be restricting what she's saying, which worries me. And everyone can have their opinion, but I certainly understand where Christine is coming from.
To visit the family just to see what it was all about. And I don't know, she also became intrigued with the faith. And so she made the conversion to the faith, and then she actually married Cody's dad.
I got to know Wynn, and I really became quite attached.
So, okay, we're hearing from Janelle. We heard before that the family and friends of Janelle rejected her when she married Cody because they were appalled. That's her word. And we're also hearing that her mom actually at least was still in contact and eventually saw that it wasn't as bad as maybe she thought it was going to be. And then she was introduced to Cody's father, who converted her, and then she married Cody's father, which means that Janelle's mother is also her stepmother-in-law or mother-in-law. And in terms of stigma, that's a problem, but it's not actually a clinical problem. And there are stories like this where it'd be like if I don't want to talk about me and my wife and my parents, but two people fall in love and then their parents, right, are maybe they're divorced, and then two of the parents meet at the wedding or something and then fall in love and then they get married. It's fine. So, but there's that. And I guess the chance of having your mother be also your mother-in-law increases when your partner's father has, how many wives does he have? Let's see. 3 wives. So one of the wives, sounds like, was, well, is that how they met? No. Right. It's the other way. Anyway.
I was the last wife, and I'd been the last wife for 16 years. And so when other women would talk about a new wife coming into the family, how hard it was, I just thought they were being ridiculous. When he started courting Robin, and I started to feel threatened, I started to feel abandoned, I started to feel insecure and not special, and I started to feel like that. And it was a...
Yeah. I don't understand. There are times when, I stopped on a bad frame there. Let's give a break. So, yeah, if my wife started dating someone else and was courting and planning on marrying this other man, I would, well, let's rewind and see if I would coincide with her feelings.
When he started courting Robin, and I started to feel threatened, I started to feel abandoned, I started to feel insecure and not special.
So one way of framing this is that your feelings are indicative of what's happening. Like if I felt something stabbing me in my knee and I wondered what that was, and I looked down and someone is stabbing my knee with a fork, then the feeling is alerting me to a reality. And if I feel abandoned and not special and insecure, not enough, then maybe that's because you're being treated that way. Now, many people, polyamorous people, they have their ways of meeting their needs through ethical non-monogamy. And I guess if I were to apply that here, and I heard this from someone in my office, I would explore it, and I would imagine a possible arrival point for a client would be that they would say, I think I need more specialness. I need to be treated special. Maybe I need another partner, or I need to alert my primary that I need more time and I don't want them to have another person. Polyamorous polycules and couples in my office will talk about this sometimes. If you work with them long enough, there's a lot of ups and downs and changes and different configurations depending. And I'm thinking of one client where the wife had this period of time where she didn't want her husband to be polyamorous anymore. She didn't mind being polyamorous herself, but she said, I feel insecure. I feel second best, and I've always wanted to be best. I've always wanted to be primary to you, particularly in a certain area. And she expressed that, and they talked about it in therapy and outside, and they decided that they were going to take a break from polyamory for a while to focus on their relationship. And it was her getting her needs met, and that feeling that she was having, similar to Christine, was an indication of her needs not being met. So that's what I think is a possible interpretation of what's happening. But the way they see it apparently is, well, but this is the right path, and this is what we're supposed to do, and this is better. Earlier in a previous episode, Janelle's mom / stepmom or mother-in-law was saying that, well, every wife is like a different spoke on the wheel. And when you have a new spoke, the other spokes have to make room for the new spoke on the wheel. And the more spokes on the wheel, the stronger the wheel is. Yeah, when I hear a metaphor like that, you just think, well, I guess that is true. The more spokes, it is a stronger wheel. So maybe everyone should have multiple wives. But then, you just swap out the metaphor for a different one, and it has a different meaning. Like another metaphor that I can think of is too many cooks. Reference that viral video from 10 years ago. when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, then you are you have a problem. People going in different directions, stepping on each other's toes, getting in each other's space, annoying people. What's another metaphor along these? Well, you get my point. You can have any metaphor to propose any angle of this, and just because there's a visualization of something completely unrelated to marriage and human needs and attachment that happens to be in terms of physics true, that all things equal, more spokes would make a stronger wheel, that doesn't mean that you're supposed to have more wives. So yeah, I don't know. I'll just leave it there.
And I started to feel like that. And it was a shock. And it shocked me that he felt like he had to get married again. It was a shock. I'm like, what, suddenly I'm not enough? And you go through kind of a mourning process, because what you knew, it suddenly, it just didn't feel like it existed anymore.
Yeah, and his face, which is indicative of other behaviors, other interactions, he literally said to Mary earlier in this season or late last season that he didn't want to hear about these emotions. He literally said that to Mary. And he now seems to be indicating that this is surprising that Christine, has negative thoughts, negative feelings about having multiple wives. So I think that indicates that it's a possibility that the wives have not told him about the downsides and have only talked about the upsides. Clearly, they have a lot of upsides, and they're choosing to take that path. And there's some downsides. So maybe overall, they're like, well, there's more upsides than downsides. But I don't know. When I hear this, it's common. It's not a universal thing, but it's pretty common that we want to feel special to our spouse. We want to feel loved and paid attention to, and we don't want there to be interference. We don't want, it's okay for our partners, our loved ones, our spouses to have other relationships, right? But we want to hold we want to be in a special role, a special spot, And how special can you feel when you're one of four? And it sounds like for Christine, I don't know if I show this clip, but she was saying, for a long time I was the new girl in town. And I retained that role and that vibe of I'm the new one and I'm the special one. I'm the shiny new thing. I had that for 16 years. Suddenly Robin is here, and now I'm not that. Now I'm just one of the other wives, So there's that. And then you think about, how did Janelle feel? How did Mary feel? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if I had a client come to me and tell me that, I guess in a more mundane sense, if I had a client and she told me that her husband was spending all this time at work or with a best friend, never mind infidelity, but the husband just was really spending a lot more time with other people and was planning on doing that for the rest of his life. It wasn't a temporary thing. Then, yeah, I would say your feelings are understandable. And what are you going to do with that? And how do you feel about it? How do let's talk. And I guess if the couple were in my office, then I certainly wouldn't tell the guy that he needs to stop that. But I don't know. They just seem to be, I don't know. I've already been over this. I can't tell if this is voluntary or brainwashed, or they're just saying pros and cons, because there's pros and cons to monogamy, right? When you commit to someone and you're not going to be with anyone else, there's at least a slight con, a slight downside, that you don't have that option to date or have new love anymore, or just act as if you're independent of someone else. You have that responsibility. Most of the time it's fine and it doesn't sting in any sort of way. So maybe they're just talking about that. I don't know. All right, well, let's adjourn there. Tune in next time when I continue watching. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.